Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Chuck Nix, the Bearded Wino, and this is Monday Meditations with Juan. Whatever time you're streaming this, I appreciate your support of Monday Meditations with Juan and a Bravo Italian restaurant and bar. Monday Meditations with Juan is an interview series where we highlight the individual efforts of women, the queer community, and all minorities in the beverage industry, culinary and hospitality alike. Today, I've got two friends, and I really love talking with these ladies every time we get together. It's always a really comfortable situation. It feels like family. So I want us to talk to Nadine Brown and Wanda Nicholson. Both these ladies are esteemed in the industry. And the one thing that's unique about them and us together is we're all parents. And I think it's a conversation that we don't talk about very often in the wine industry. We talk about a lot of other things that challenge us in our individual efforts. I think this conversation is worth having. So I wanted to bring them in and have this talk with you all. We did recently have a talk about the church in wine, and I thought that was a really cool conversation. So we'll touch a little bit on that as well. For those of you that are visiting Jackson or that are here and coming to say hi at Bravo, I want you to make sure that you go to bravobuzz.com and click the events tab. And make sure that you sign up for any wine dinners or any other events that we may have going on. And please follow and like us on Facebook, and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page at Bearded Wino. Without further ado, let's get Wanda in, let's get Nadine in, and let's have a little bit of a chit chat about life as parenting in songs.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hey, Nadine. Hey, Wanda. How are y'all?
Doing well.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Well, look, thank y'all for taking the time out to talk to me. It's not that we aren't texting constantly throughout the week anyway, but I think that now everybody gets to be let in on the conversation. So, hey, everybody else, welcome to the room where it happens. Tell me good things, ladies. How's the day going for y'all? How busy is it? What's going on? What's happening recently? How's the weekend?
Weekend was outstanding. I had this incredible event with Women of Wine in DC, and that was just really fulfilling. The kids are at school. The sun is out. I cannot complain too much.
love a good sunny Monday, and I love doing wine events. How about you, Wanda? What's been going on in your world?
So, unfortunately, I did not have as much wine in my weekend as Nadine did. I actually worked at one of my part-time jobs on Saturday, and yesterday was spent entirely at Eckert's, picking apples and pumpkins and doing all types of fun activities. So my joints are and my pocketbook are still in recovery mode. So I got my coffee, I got my water. So kids are at school. It's also a beautiful day here in the Midwest in St. Louis, Missouri. It is cool, but it's very sunny. I'm blessed and highly favored. Can't complain.
Hey, 100%. Keep it up. We're gonna have a shout moment right here on the show. Keep it up, all right. All right. So
I'm not
look, last
opposed to having church virtually, Chuck.
I still have church virtually. We do in-person and virtual service. So, one time for COVID, just how to do things on the computers. Look,
Right.
last conversation we had on Instagram, Nadine, with you, we talked a lot about the church and wine, and there were some really, really important topics that we brought up. But one thing that I don't know that we really highlighted, can you tell me a little bit about your religious or faith background, Nadine?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Jamaica and went to high school in Puerto Rico. And a lot of times, so on my grandmother's side, she's Anglican, which I kind of describe as a step down from Catholic. There's less, yeah. And on my dad's side was Baptist. And I went to Roman Catholic high school in Jamaica. Like I mentioned, in Puerto Rico, it was a Mennonite school, Episcopal school. A lot of here too, right? They're good education, right? Just good education. A lot of times in schools attached to churches.
Nadine, you danced, or I mean, you've experienced so many different religions, so many different practices of Christianity. Do you think that helps you to better understand maybe history of Christianity in wine, or maybe better navigating different types of people in wine as we're opening up? How did that help you in wine?
I never thought of it that way, but yeah, probably just in terms of being flexible. Like even in my grandmother's home in Jamaica, it was across from an they were singing 1 in the morning. So there's a lot of different experiences that way. But before we started having the conversation, I never really thought about wine and with the Black church specifically. From my studies, I know about the monks and the importance of the church, which bringing with helping spreading vines across the world, really. From that historical point, but I've never really thought about it in specific in terms of the Black church and it's being not really a barrier, but a reason why some people in our community are misinformed or think of wine as a vice. So that was kind of where the thought and the conversation was coming from for me.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned about the Black church because Wanda, your father's a minister, so you grew up in Black church. What denomination predominantly was it for you?
So Baptist. My dad is a minister. He's been a minister since 1992. Before then, he was a deacon. So I pretty much spent most of my, younger years in church. And when I say church, I'm talking about the way that we used to go to church. Like church would be 2 hours, and then sometimes you might have a program after church. If it was Women's Day or Men's Day or the health unit and usher board or whatever it was, like sometimes church would be an all-day affair. So like we got like the full experience. We were junior ushers. We sang in the choir. My mother was a deaconess and then a minister's wife. So we were always helping her do things. And one of the things that, being in the church really helped introduce me to was the concept of community, the community and creating an experience, not necessarily like a spiritual experience, but, an experience where, groups of people are all unified for a common purpose. And then fellowship, and I kind of transferred some of those skills that I learned in the church to hospitality. So, I tell people a lot of times, like I've been entertaining since I was a kid because our house was kind of the go-to house after church. If we didn't have if we didn't have a program, like a 3:30 program after church, then like my dad would go and get like a big prime rib slab and he would smoke it on the grill and invite some of our friends, some of his deacon friends over to the house. So, community and fellowship has pretty much been instilled to me since a young age. And I can really thank my upbringing in the church for introducing me to that, along with growing up in a big Black Baptist family.
And this is where I really wanted to ask those questions and have you ladies speak on that, because I think that a lot of times there's this separation of folks in the wine industry and in church. And we're illustrating how being in the church has helped us in the wine industry in the future. So as the church has always kind of helped the wine industry historically, it's still helping the wine industry today more with the people, because the laws aren't necessarily in the way. I mean, I grew up with a minister mother, and I was always in front of the church, right? I was a junior deacon. I was in the choir. I was an usher to keep me from talking in church. So she put me in front of the church. So if I was going to do some talking, I was talking to the people. But now when I host events, right, there's no not serious butterflies before speaking and getting in front of folks. That happened because of structure that happened in the church. And yes, community, understanding about the people around you and the differences in folks and bringing more people into the fold. I think that we could learn something from the church in the wine industry. And I think that the church could learn from the wine industry as well, in how we're really embracing folks today, as we already know that some churches are kind of excluding some folks. So look, let's keep this conversation going, but I want to talk more about our families since we're talking about this thing. So look, my name is Chuck Nix. This is Monday Meditations with Wine. I'm here with Nadine Brown, Wanda Nicholson. Thank y'all for tuning in. I got to tell y'all, I love that picture of y'all too. and I love the caption on it. It was Psalm Moms, when Psalm Moms come out to play or something like that, right? So Psalm Mom now, right here today, we got Psalm parents in the place. And all the time we're talking, I think that we highlight younger Psalms that are getting into the game. And for those of us that have been in for a while, we celebrate our successes, but then it's the behind the scenes, right? That really kind of motivates us and pushes us. Wanda, how do your kids motivate and inspire you?
Before I answer that question, I want to go back to the picture, and I love that picture also. And when I saw it, like I got all the feels all over again. Um, I'm not sure if you knew, or if your listeners don't know, Nadine and I have been like corresponding probably for like the last 5 years, and that was the first time that we actually got a chance to meet. We were in Sonoma. She and I both have an extremely deep love affair for Sonoma. We're both parents, and that was finally our time to really like get together and get to know each other. So just wanted to put that out there. Like
Yeah.
I had all the feels, and it was a good time. Um, Repeat your question. I'm sorry, Chuck.
How do your kids motivate you? They inspire you. They motivate you. I know you talked to me about it, but how do they motivate you? What is it about having children that really pushes you and drives you?
Um, Giving them the life that I had, giving them the upbringing that I had. I grew up in a middle class suburban background here in St. Louis, Missouri, and I didn't want for anything. My parents not only provided for us financially, but they also provided for us spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and psychologically. Like my parents were dialed in 100% on all sides, front, back, side, center, the whole nine. And they motivate me by keeping me grounded and keeping my eye on the prize. And when things get hard, when days are long, I always think about those beautiful little faces that I created because they didn't ask to be here. So I brought them here. So it is my job to set them up for this world as best as possible, not just financially, but like all the other things that I mentioned, and to make sure that I am raising them to be the best humans that they can be, and that they can stand strong on their own. Whenever, time passes and I'm no longer here, that they can go on and still actualize their lives in my physical absence, which I can touch on a little bit later why I said that.
Okay. All right. Nadine, same question.
Yeah, it's not that it ebbs and flows, but it changes, and I think it will change. They're always your kids. I think even when they're 20, they're 30, they're still going to be your kids, and the motivations, are different. Like right now, I would say they motivate me to. Um, it's really important that they see me doing something that I love. And that's kind of a motivation for me. I had kids a little later in life, so they've motivated me to get to the gym, to just take care of myself so that I am able to be here, for them. So if that makes sense, it kind of, they've made me to go back to therapy and take care of some of my shit. Sorry
No, that's good. Yeah.
for swearing, So like Wanda said, so that they can get a lot of the same great things that I have. We kind of joke that we mess kids up, and I think there's always a little bit of that, but and it's something that I think about, and just really, not really, gentle parenting, but just being conscious of how I talk and my tone, and I don't always get it right, but yeah, a lot of different ways.
Absolutely. Wanda.
So the reason, just to kind of like put a tangent on, preparing ourselves in our physical absence, Nadine and I also have something in common. We both lost our mothers relatively younger in life.
Mm.
And our mothers, like my mom passed away, I was still pregnant. So like there's a big chunk of life that, like we will never have like grandmother's day or anything like that. So like I'm not sure if your mom was around. Your son's name is Emerson, right?
Emerson, yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm
No.
not okay. So he is either one of them. So for me, it's personal, like setting my kids up for success. And one of the reasons why I've been able to cope, and one of the reasons that I've been able to, like still move forward with life, is because I felt like she adequately prepared me for my life, like in spite of her physical absence. And she also introduced me to the Lord, taught me, and my father also, but really her, because, girls pattern themselves after their mothers, like seeing my mother in church, praying, seeing her testifying, like her teaching me the power of prayer, learning, discernment. She was the first one to teach me about discernment, and listening and being led by the Holy Spirit. So it's because of all the preparation that she did while she was here that I'm able to survive and thrive, even though she's not. And that's something that I have to pass along to my children.
So many gems that you just dropped right now. I have to touch on this one. You said that your kids, you grew up with a life where you didn't really have to ask for much. You want to give your kids the life that you did have. Many of us, especially in the Black community, are trying to give our kids the life that we didn't have. And I think that's also a driving factor. But I love that you said a life that you did have, so we can my own experiences and communicate those instead of trying to pull from outside influence, right? And you're really looking to the outside to influence your own household. That's beautiful, and I love the fact that you are striving to do things for your children when you're not here. Because how many of us don't plan for when we're not here for the people that we leave behind? And I think that's also something that we should really focus on as a Black community, because a lot of us do leave our churches, our neighborhoods, and our families to take over once we're gone instead of preparing for it. Thanks so much for that. Look, that's a whole nother episode. Look, the conversations will continue, right? And so, look, there's a stigma, right? Again, we talk about a lot of young folks in this industry, but then there's a stigma of being a parent in this industry, right? Having limitations, right? Oh, I can't do this because I have kids. My kids need this, so I'm not going to do that. There's that stigma, but the children also motivate us. Let me ask you this. Do you think that having children limits you at all? Do you think that you could have done more without kids than with kids?
I'm gonna answer honestly.
Yeah.
And say yes. I mean, there's the saying that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Or maybe it's the other way around. But
that's right. That's right.
So like, and even the Bible mentions, I think Paul mentions that, like you can get so much more done as a single person than if you're married. So yes, you're definitely gonna have more time, but then the caveat to that is having kids gives you the motivational force to keep on with it. And like I tell people all the time, like your kids are only kids small for a little while. So I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm doing less. I'm just doing things a little bit slower and a little bit later. You know what I mean?
No, I do. No, it does. Nadine, you've been in this business since before you had children. Let me ask you this. Do you think that your purpose changed with children beforehand? Do you still have the same goal, or has it changed a little bit differently? Is your purpose a little different now?
I think it's changed. At one point, I wanted to be like the first MSMW, like first Jamaican MS combined MW.
Yeah.
And then on my involvement with the court, just got less and less. And I think partly because of kids and partly because I just was falling out of love with the way I was studying. I always loved reading about wine, and it started becoming a chore. That's also just a whole other, conversation. So in some ways it did, I did have kids later in life, partly because I was in the restaurant industry. I think just kind of, not even really purposely pushing it off, right? You just, but I knew that if I didn't, I would regret it. It wasn't like, I've always, since I was, a little, young woman, I knew I wanted to have kids, but I knew that I would be 80 and regretting it if I did it. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
If I'm going to jump in on this just a little bit about having children now, I mean, you guys talked about your kids. I have 4 girls, 2 from an ex and one on the way in the house. And I would say this, that I think that I got into wine later than I had kids. Okay. So it was a little bit different for me. My driving force in wine actually was because of my kids. I had to figure out what was the next move in restaurants. So I had a purpose more so than just becoming successful and making a bunch of money. I had a purpose. It was for the girls, and I had to make sure that I was doing stuff for them.
Yeah.
And I wanted to jump in and say this, that when you do have kids and you do have purpose, yeah, it does change. And you can maybe go fast single without kids, right? Yeah, I think about that all the time, right? When your kids stress you out, when they're not getting ready for school when you need them to, when they're not cleaning up their room, when they're not doing what you want them to do, or when you just need time to study and just, decompress yourself. You're like, oh man, these children, right? We all say this as parents, oh, these kids. But at the same token, if I didn't have those kids, would I be doing this? What else would I be doing? Would my path have changed a different direction? And would I be fulfilled in that? And who's to say I wouldn't just be riding in the wind? And that's me personally. That's maybe me as a dad. I don't know what it's like for women. You guys go through different situations with children. You guys carry the children, and then we're trying to keep a roof over y'all's heads, right? And not that y'all aren't the same, but I think that there's this difference between moms and dads. What do y'all think about your husbands? What do you think is the difference between y'all and them? Just
Yeah.
mom and dad songs. What's the difference?
I remember being, excited and also petrified when I found out I was pregnant. I was in the restaurant, working the floor, running a swine program, busy, fast-paced restaurant. I Googled pregnant Psalm, right? Because at the time, still, right? Like I don't know. I still don't know if it's kind of self-selecting why a lot of women in the industry don't want kids. I think there might be a little bit of that, just kind of this self-selecting, thing that's going on. And I think there are probably people that want kids and who just can't see it, within the industry. Because I hadn't, but I was with the big belly on the floor. But I remember being like, oh, like Googling pregnant Psalm. I don't know what was going to come up. But yeah, I mean, that just made me think about that. And that is Zeppelin barking in the background. Who wants to go for a walk, Dan?
Look,
So, you mentioned we're the ones carrying the kids. I have twins. I have 6.5-year-old twins. And I also was a mother later in life. And I was super sick. So because your body undergoes, it's releasing all these other hormones, and my body was literally doing double the work. I was sick as a dog. And the food that I once loved, I used to love walking into our kitchen and smelling I was working at a high-end Mexican restaurant at the time. I would walk into the kitchen and I would start dry heaving. Like, I'm not kidding you. I couldn't eat shift meal. All I did was drink San Pellegrino with lime juice. So that's one of the things that's one of the big differences. And Nadine said she had a big belly. Also the stigma of being pregnant and being in the restaurant business. My family was under some transition at the time. Like, we were about to move for my husband's job. I weren't sure if we were going to stay in Chicago. I wasn't sure what we were going to do. And I didn't want anybody to know that I was pregnant in case I had to do another job search. Like, I didn't want to be interviewing, and I didn't want to have my, baby bump, on Facebook or anything like that. Like, I kept my pregnancy under wraps until I was certain what I was going to do, which was kind of hard because I started showing kind of early, and I was a lot smaller when I got pregnant. So it was kind of hard to do. But the stigma, people can look at a Psalm dad and think oh, there's no question whether or not the kids are who's going to have a priority. When you're a Psalm and a mom, people are always going to think okay, well, who's going to be more important? Who's going to take priority? Who's going to have precedence? Is it good? We need someone who's going to be able to make this job a priority in their life. And there's no way she's going to be able to do it if she is tending to runny noses, going on doctor's appointments, basketball practice, and all that jazz. So I think that that's one of the main differences, the stigma associated with it.
That's a huge difference with stigma, because the stigma is external for women and internal for men, right? Internal with men, we're knowing what we have to deal with. That inside, I'm going home. I don't get to go play with the boys anymore. No one knows it on the outside, and you could say you want to do all, but you're not. You're going home to take care of business, take care of family. And I'll be honest with you, I want to go home, and I wish it would be quiet sometimes when I got home. Wish it would be. And, I mean, I'm sure everybody does. But I mean, I
Oh
I
my
get home
God,
and I'm like,
COVID, right? COVID. I was like, you guys are still.
yo,
Yeah,
right.
that
You
was
get home and it's
extra.
like everybody's everywhere. Can I just
Mhm.
turn the TV on? They wonder why I spend so much. So my bathroom is my prayer closet because that's where I get the peace and quiet. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that we
Yeah.
start talking about it as parents in the wine industry. Um, I think that it's more important than conversations like this between parents. It's conversations of communities of parents in the business where we find a lot of our support. This has been really, really fantastic. Ladies, thank you so much for your contributions. We got some fun questions coming up. We got the hot five. And if you've been watching Monday Meditations with Juan, there's some really cool answers. Ladies, y'all know this, and I'll say this, and I say it every time. Ray has had one of the best answers to the first hot five question. So we're going to dig into it in just a bit. Thank y'all for watching. This is Monday Meditations with Juan. My name is Chuck Nix, the Bearded Wino. This is a good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Chuck Nix, the Bearded Wino, your favorite sommelier and host for Monday Meditations with Juan. Thank y'all. This is amazing. Never experienced anything like this. Can't wait to experience it again. Monday Meditations is a weekly interview series where we highlight beverage and hospitality professionals and their individual efforts to grow and evolve Southern hospitality. We're all about community here. In order to support your community, you have to know your neighbors. And what better way to get to know someone than over a glass or a bottle of wine? So come join us on Mondays at 6 p.m. for Monday Meditations with Wine. We'd love for you to share a glass of wine with us. Get to know the community every Monday at 6 p.m. on Facebook Live. Remember to drink well, drink responsibly, and always tip at least 20%. Peace. Fantastic.
Awesome.
Thank y'all for joining us on Monday Meditations with Juan. This is where the interviews get a lot more fun. So, ladies, I got to ask you these questions. And this is a really, really important one. If you could share a bottle of wine with any person, dead or alive, who would that person be? Wanda?
Pretty sure we're gonna. Oh, Wanda.
We're gonna say the exact same thing.
I thought you might after this conversation is going.
Yeah, that's
All right,
what I was
tell me-
like. I'm gonna cry, but I'm not gonna cry.
Nope, we're not gonna do that this
I'm not
morning.
gonna do that. It
We're
would
not
be
gonna do that.
Mom and champagne. Yeah.
You said mom and champagne?
Yeah.
1000%.
Mhm.
That's your boat drink? You're drinking champagne with moms?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
I love it.
I would probably like if I had to choose a champagne, like this just came to me, it would be the Grand Dame. Like if I had to pick one. I mean, and I love like that's not to take away from any of the other champagnes, not to take away from any of the grower producers or whatever, but like the significance of Le Grand Dame, it would either be that or Dom Perignon because my mom loved Dom. But if I'm celebrating that, that is so significant for me. And she was around for, like my, like all of my rise in the wine career. And that was whenever I would come home to St. Louis, like I would always have wine and we would always sit on the porch and just talk about life and drink multiple bottles. So yeah, a celebration of her life, a celebration of her legacy. And yeah.
That's great. That's great.
You're not going to cry.
I'm not gonna cry.
All right, no, don't cry. All right, let's talk about it. What grape style or what grape variety or wine style best describes you? We'll start with you, Nadine.
Hard. It's a hard one. It's hard. I was gonna say something really voluptuous, but I'm gonna say Nebbiolo. Because it's it really changes over time. It's a really long-lived wine. Sometimes it takes a while to kind of come into its own. It stays youthful for a really long time. I mean, I'm turning 50 this year. Look at this.
Don't cry.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, so Nebbiolo.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Delicate and powerful. Come on with it.
Yeah.
All right, Wanda, what you got?
Last time I was asked that question, I said Grenache. And that's because, like, when I was younger, I was really spicy and really forward and just like,
Okay.
like a lot of like that super fiery energy. And then, like, over the years, I've definitely mellowed out. And like I can do a lot on my own for sure. But I'm always like tapping into energies of other people and being inspired. Like I'm always drawing on everything around me, kind of like Grenache does with blood. So
Very cool. Yo, I love asking wine professionals these questions because y'all got great answers to them. Because y'all know things and y'all tap into, y'all make it all the way work. That's beautiful right there. All right. Unicorn bottles. What's our unicorn bottle, Nadine?
One I had yesterday. It is a I wouldn't say it's probably a unicorn. They don't make a lot of it. It's a skin contact Pinot Gris from Austria.
Okay.
That wasn't my unicorn. That was my $20 one. Yeah, but that one.
Okay, that's your $20 one.
That's my $20 one.
All right. I'll take that one. I love these $20 selections, especially from us, because we always find the gems, right? We find those things that are behind the shelf. All right. So what if you could have this one bottle and you die a happy woman, what would that bottle be? What is your unicorn bottle? Do you know?
So it would be probably a Vega Sicilia Unico or 74 Martha's Vineyards from Heights. Yeah. 1974.
All right. Well, when you find your unicorn, you know my number.
And I've tried it before. I just, yeah.
Yeah. And then Wanda, unicorn bottle first.
Okay, so you mentioned the one that you had yesterday, Nadine. I had one back in July. I got some things out of a storage unit, and I found a bottle that I put away. It was a 2006 Priorat. It was Old Vines Carignan. And I was like, and I told my friends, I was like, this is either going to be amazing or it's going to be terrible. And I promise you that bottle sang in perfect harmony with the world.
Loving that.
Like, oh my God, I did not know like old single varietal Carignan could do this. It was absolutely amazing. It was something it was like a leftover bottle from a tasting or some event that I worked. And it just happened to be the right wine at the right time. And I opened it exactly at its peak.
That's great. All right, Wanda, what's your $20 wine? You got $20. What you got?
$20. What I got? I got Riesling.
Okay.
Riesling almost always my answer for everything.
It's not a bad answer.
Yeah, like Washington, like, and it doesn't matter for me. Like, it could be Washington State. It could be something it could be a dry one from the Rheingau. Just like Riesling. Period. Makes me happy. Makes me smile.
Okay, so that could be like a Dr. Herman joint because he's doing stuff.
I was actually thinking about Finger Lakes.
Okay.
Honestly. I was thinking about Finger Lakes. Like if I had to choose one, like the one that came into my head first, it was Poet Sleep. And that's the Long Shadows Schlossgut Deal project out of Columbia Valley.
Yeah. Oh man, y'all got quality bottles right now. I'm in the right circle, I'll tell you that. My unicorn bottle actually got gifted to me pretty recent this year. It was an 82 Bordeaux, and you were talking about this bottle is going to be really, really good or it's going to be really, really bad. And it sang. And that was one of those bottles that almost brought me to tears because it was a birth year and it was Bordeaux. Because I was like, okay, my birth year, it's all about Bordeaux in 82. So I was like, that's the year. So, and we found it after much searching in the cellar of the restaurant that we were in. And it was great. So that's cool, man. I love these things. All right. This is super fun. If you had your own superpower, if you could choose it, what would it be? Wanda, you go first.
My superpower.
Not that you aren't already superheroes yourselves. Not that you're already on Superwoman.
I'm going to pass to Nadine and think about it for another second or so.
Just real fast back on the church. One of the things I got from both my grandmother, like my the one that just passed, worked
They were both always in service, whether it was the food, education, or working at the soup kitchen. So I'm going to say the ability to, and I've been reading about Buddhism a little bit, about compassion and suffering. So the ability to be able to ease suffering. And I think that gives a big, right? Whoa. It's a big and umbrella, right? There's a lot of different ways you could ease suffering.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's a great answer. I've never even heard that superpower. I've never even seen it illustrated in any shows or any books. The ability to ease pain or suffering.
Pain. Yeah, I'm sure there probably is in Japanese bending or something. Yeah,
that's
more
that's
Eastern cultures.
You're gonna really heal the world with that. Your turn. Come on, Wanda.
Okay. So I would find a way to, how everyone always says, like, walk a mile in my shoes or put my glasses on or whatnot. I would find a way for people to be able to feel the, like you said, be able to feel the compassion. So you would actually be able to see how that person felt. You would actually, for an hour, for 60 minutes, for one day, you would be able to see however that person felt is. And in doing that, we would become a more compassionate world.
Absolutely. True empathy. Yeah.
Wow. Here's the thing. My superpower would be to shoot fire from my hands. And you all want to change the world.
Going back in time, kind of back to the mom thing, but
no, I get it.
You mess with time, space, continuum stuff when you do that.
I think that this conversation is obviously it's one that goes longer, that could go longer, and it will go longer. I'm certain it will. And we've spawned many tributaries off the main vein of this conversation as well. And I can't wait for you ladies to come back and talk to me more about it, whether we do this on Instagram, whether we do it here on YouTube or Facebook Live. I really think that we should continue this conversation, or maybe we do it at family reunion. I know you guys be hitting it up, and I'm just saying, can I get a +1? I'm just trying to get there. I'm trying to get to VA.
Yes.
No doubt. Well, look, ladies, thank y'all so much for your time. I know you're very busy with your lives. I appreciate you for taking the time to talk to me. Thank you very much, y'all.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Been a pleasure, Chuck. Anytime.
It's been a real joy. Look, for those watching, look on YouTube at Bearded Wino, on Facebook at Bravo Buzz, or at Bearded Wino on Facebook Live. Please check in, subscribe, like, and follow, and all the good things. And look, we'll probably catch you up on Instagram as well. I'm at Bearded Wino. Nadine, hit your Instagram name real quick.
Nadine Winebrown.
Nadine Winebrown. And Wanda, you're at?
Vendiva7.
Vendiva7. We'll have all those social media handles tagged in the comments. Thank y'all so much for checking in. This is Monday Meditations with Wine. I'm Chuck Nix, the Bearded Wino. Peace.
Peace.